You did a panel with Morrow?
Did I do that?
Next on Eternal Durdles.
I'm keeping up with the Joneses.
Hey, I just want to give a quick shout out to all of our Patreon supporters out there. Thank you to the Durdle Maniacs. If you want to be a Durdle Maniac, go to patreon.com/eternaldurdles and help support the channel. It keeps things going. It keeps things updated. Thanks so much for watching. On with the show. Hello and welcome to Eternal Durdles. I'm your host, Zach Clark, and with me as always, Phil Blackman. Phil, how's it going, man?
Zach, it's your time, man. This is your show.
Yeah,
You did it all in Chicago, man. Talk to us.
I had a great time in Chicago. So this is the Chicago recap episode. This we'll go over everything that happened in Chicago from the time I took off, the time I touched back down in Philadelphia. So let's just start at Friday. We had so much going on. First off, obviously, let's just thread the lead immediately. I don't want to bury it. I had that panel with Morrow, and it went well. So I'll go into more of that when we get to Saturday. But on Friday, I flew out, and I headed over to the convention center. I got in at like 5. The flight was a little late, so I missed a lot of the first day, which was, regrettable. But that's just, that's life. That's life. What are you going to do? But it was a $50 car ride to get from the airport to the convention center, because they chose the convention center that was like in the middle of nowhere. According to Sal, Chicago Sal, a good friend of the podcast, and also he has his own channel, links below. It was a $50 car ride just to get to the hotel luckily it was attached to the convention center. So my traveling costs were mitigated by that, but why would you have it so far away from the airport when there's a better option? Apparently, that the other convention center is just a better option.
You got to locate the people with backpacks, my guy.
Yeah, I guess. I don't
want to.
Hey,
you got a backpack?
Yeah.
Let's split.
What's that?
You got to find the people with backpacks and then be like, let's split.
Yeah. No, I should have. But the thing is like it's 5 o'clock. Everyone's already there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Then I got there and immediately saw Pip, the Goblin Battlecaster, my friend Pat. Pat is actually also going to be editing this video, so special thanks to Pat. He is one of our other editors now. We've gotten to the point where we're sponsored. We're sponsored by Tales of Adventure. You know Tales of Adventure well. They are the Eternal Lives Here website to buy Magic cards, all of your cards in one thing. Not like TCG Player is a good example of a place where you order a bunch of cards and you get 27 packages. You get your entire package, your entire orders in one package at Tales of Adventure. So definitely, if you want to support the channel, that's a great way to support the channel is by getting your cards there. You can use the code Durdles to get 5% off, and of course links below. So anyhow, Pip was there, and we immediately just started hanging out. I introduced Pip to a couple of people, and then immediately saw Joe Dyer, Sal.
Tell me about the con. How was your con experience?
So Friday was insane. I got into the Legacy Cup for $40. Cash. The payout for ticks were awesome. I think I came out with $70 worth of ticks I offloaded. Don't tell Wasi, but I had to. Just make a profit somehow.
Yeah.
I went 3 and 4 with Acast. Kind of misplaced. I don't really play Legacy as much as I'd like to anymore, but so it was overall it was good.
You on the patchwork or on
Patrick Stompy, yeah.
Okay,
Patrick
right
Stompy with Triangle of War.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like that.
Yeah, you gotta do it. It works. You throw people off guard.
Yeah.
I went off with Joe Dyer, and we went to play a game of EDH. I played 3 games of EDH this weekend. I did not get a lot of Magic, and I'll explain why later. We got in a game of EDH with Saffron Olive and another guy, and I played my Morse deck, Kadena, the Slinking Sorcerer, and I actually won that game, which was pretty rad. But it was super, so much fun. Phil, you know what's wild about hang out with and we hang out with Remy and stuff like that, but you don't see it until you get to a convention. Hanging out with people who are much bigger in the Magic space than you are.
What about it?
So you get to see them interact, and this is like a learning experience for me. So you get to see them interact with people, the fans and stuff like that. Because many times during the game, someone would come up and be like, "Hey, Saffron Olive, can you sign my stuff or whatever?" And I wanted to mention just how absolutely one, it's a great teaching moment for me to see how other people deal with just having people come up to them kind of constantly. But it was really cool to see how genuinely real, like just absolutely like enthralled with the game, loves his fans and stuff that like Saffron Olive was. And you know, I gush a little bit because he was on the panel, but it was just really cool to see. Like, and it happened with the professor when I met him at HasCon for like Hipsters of the Coast. Is like I got like to see this guy who was like a normal dude like switch on, and not switch on and off so much. It's just like he's having a conversation with me, and then someone would come up and be like, "Hey, professor, what do you think of my deck?" And he'd go, and he would genuinely look at this person's deck, check it out, and then like give some advice, and then like go back to talking with me. And it's just like a cool thing like that. You know. It's nice to see content creators who like genuinely love the game and like love their fans. It was like a really cool moment for me.
Yeah, get out all of you content creators that hate the game that you're making content for.
Yeah, ridiculous.
You can get right on out.
Yeah. You know, there's personas people put on, and I feel like Seth's persona is 100% genuine. Like that's who he is all the time. You know, like there's no flip on and off button, and that's what same thing with the professor. Like he's that all the time. There's no other version of the professor. You know, it's not like like what's that episode of like The Simpsons where he meets Krusty the Clown, and he's like smoking cigarettes. His feet are tiny. You know, like the whole thing like in the backstage. There's not a version of that for those two guys. It's like they're just real 100%. Like they love the game, they love their fans, you know, that kind of thing. It's very wholesome to see, you know.
Yeah, if anybody meets us at a convention or at an event, I'm totally different. I will. I'm a dark, brooding, angsty bro. Don't none of that. This
is how I am at all times. I can't turn it off. It's just this is. There might be another version of me, but I haven't found the off button for this version.
You're just wheeling around with an original Pac-Man video set. Like, who wants to jam a game?
Yeah. So then we did that, and then it was like 8:00 at that point. So Joe and I were like, you know what, we just gotta eat. Like, let's go get dinner. And luckily, we were gonna go to a steakhouse or something, and we just found like a spot in between the hotel and the convention center that like there's like a walking hallway kind of thing, and we just sat down there, and I had my very first Italian beef sandwich, Phil.
Oh, like do tell.
Like the bear, like the beef, right?
Yeah, I was going to ask if you went to the actual.
No, I didn't leave. I didn't leave the hotel for this one, but it was good. Yeah, it was a French dip. Like,
of course, it's no joke, right?
It was a French dip, like that's, and it was great, very tasty. But so at that point, I parted ways with Joe, and we I got to see Paul and Manny and a bunch of other people just like wave as I was going by, which was pretty cool because it was like we were just like right next to the walkway as you're going back to the hotel. So like I kept like, oh, hey, how's it going? People I hadn't seen in a while. So that was cool. So then we went to I went to the creator party. I was like, all right, $53. Screw it. Let's go. So I went to the creator party, and I'm about to tell a very embarrassing story. Phil, have you ever met Stryfo in real life?
I haven't met Stryfo in real life yet.
Yeah. So I met Stryfo in real life for the first time at the creator party. And he was wearing a mask, so I get a little bit of a pass on that. But he came up and was like, "Hey, Zach, how's it going?" And I was like, "Hey, man, like I'm never gonna be like, who the hell are you?" And I was trying to like put together who he was, and I realized like 5 minutes later, but he was already gone. That was Chase. So and I met Chase's wife, who was awesome too. We shared some great South Jersey stories. So that was cool. But then I did karaoke. I did a little bit of "You Better You Bet" by The Who.
That's your go-to, yeah,
the go-to. Then I went upstairs, and there was like Grum Gully. I don't know if everyone knows some DJ thing. That was fun, and then I headed back to the hotel, and I took a nap. I went to sleep.
And then the following day, you woke up and you found me. You did an altar search for me, which is very kind of you.
Yes, I did. I did indeed. I'm going to put those up because I'm going to scan them and show them to everybody. But I got a Shatterstorm for you, and then Phil, I bought the Heartstone.
Oh, you got the Hearthstone? Nice.
Yeah, I was like,
gonna,
like that. That'll be a cool EDH card, you know. So I picked up the Hearthstone.
That Shadowstorm is slotting right into my reachables for pre-modern.
Yeah. There you go. Reachables.
Yeah, I talk about the cards that don't actually make your list unless you're gunning a metagame, and the second somebody's trying to Mishra's Helix me, I'm going to be like, nah, dog, nah.
Eternal Durdles is proud to be sponsored by Moxfield. Moxfield is the best Magic the Gathering deck building website on the internet. You can create, share, and find decks from Commander to Legacy, and even fan-supported formats like Pre-Modern and Old School. You can see all of our decks on our Moxfield. Follow the links below to stay tuned. I ran into Remy, MTG Remy, and we had made plans to hang out this weekend. So a lot of the rest of the weekend is me and Remy just trying to find space to play EDH. Like that is 90% of what Saturday was for me, is me and Remy trying to figure out where we could sit down and play EDH. And I don't want to crap on the convention. It was a lot of fun. But there were some serious logistical problems as far as finding space for people to play pickup games. And then later on, we were like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just get ticketed space and we'll play, competitive-ish EDH against you. Not like CEDH, but like, you play for prizes. And we'll just like get a pod with us and other people. And at least apparently, according to everybody else, for me, it was only from like 10 to 2 because I stopped looking at that point. At least for like 4 hours after that, no one could get tickets. They closed down the ticketing because there was no space for anybody. The overflow area was full, and the overflow area was pretty full too. And so I have something. That I wrote about that. So we tried for 4 hours to find a spot to play EDH, but there were no tables. So we just tried to buy tickets to reserve space with ticketed play, but they had shut that down as well for several hours. Eventually, we ran into Mono White Guy, aka Charles. Mono White Guy had his car broken into, so someone stole all of his stuff. That didn't happen until after the con, so we didn't know this until just like this afternoon. But man, that's Charles. That's terrible, man. Like they took like a Mox Pearl and a bunch of 8 of his decks. Just absolutely terrible.
Yeah, that's what happens now. What
I don't even know. Like that's I just even But going on, so we hunted for space and we ended up in this like gang hideout for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 where Shredder trains the youth of Chicago to become the Foot Clan. It was like dim lighting. It looked like a mix between like a parking garage. It was the parking garage that me and Paul got stuck in for like 2 hours looking for his car. It was like the parking lot of an Atlantic City casino. And they just like had a bunch of tables there. So that's where we hung out at and like played. I played I still have not yet played an entire game of EDH with Remy. Like this is like the third time we've hung out and I still have not gotten an actual game of EDH in with him because I had to leave to go prep for the panel in the middle of the game.
This is good news for me because it gives me more time to build my Grand Calcutron deck. So
yes.
Well,
Yeah. So before long, it was time for me to rush back to the hotel and prep my panel with Mark Rosewater and Saffron Olive. This panel was 30 years of Magic comment and commentary, and we'll have a link up to the video for that. I need to edit that up and get the sound going and everything, and like get the visuals going for that. But there will be a video of that experience that everyone can look at. And I also on early Saturday, I also got Shivram's podcast. I got their panel as well, and I'll send that to him and he can put it up. So then I got done with the panel and it went really well. Like so many people were there that showed up for me that I knew, which was really cool. Just like I don't think I have felt that amount of love in the room since my wedding. Like when everyone is in a space and they're there just for you. It felt like that. It's hard to explain how good that felt. And of course, dude, so awkward. I'm the absolute most awkward human being alive. So, Maro's got his mask on. He's being careful about germs and stuff. Totally understandable. And I go to shake his hand. And he hands me his elbow, so I I grabbed his elbow instead of like doing the elbow bump. So I grabbed his elbow and shook it.
Firm grip the elbow.
Yeah, firm grip the elbow and shook it. So that was awkward.
now you can be like, hey, Mario, good to see you again. Remember, I'm the guy who.
Oh yeah, he'll never forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, the panel was like really well, and I was very worried because the first half of it is basically just stuff that Mario did, like, you know, the Duelist and early Magic Internet and stuff. That's all stuff for him, and I was really worried that Saffron Olive wasn't going to be able to put in as much input or have as much stake in the panel as I would have liked. But he started chiming in too, which I like really loosened me up because I was super apprehensive that like he was going to walk away being like, well, I don't know why I was needed for this. But he got to chime in too and made some really good points. So I'm super excited. Like I said, we're going to have the panel up so you can see the whole thing. But afterwards, people, we did a Q&A and people were asking like relevant questions, not just like, Mark Rosewater, when you will undo the reserve. Like people were asking real questions about Magic media and stuff, which was really cool. And, the Q&A happened. And of course, don't forget there was a video by Mike Flores. We had Mike on a couple weeks ago. And we'll have his full interview from that I had to truncate down to like 11. It was like a 28-minute interview. I truncated down to like 11 minutes, about like who's the beatdown. So afterwards, Mark came over and was like, hey man, I actually really enjoyed this. Thanks so much. And I was like, I'll gladly do more. Like, let me know. And same thing. Seth said the same thing. I got a photo with the both of them. So that was like super cool to just get to hang out with everybody and be on that same level, like, cause I don't, in terms of like Magic celebrity, I do not belong on that stage, but it was cool to be able to facilitate this and get to a situation where everybody, one, got to be together, but two, people seem to really enjoy themselves. So that was really awesome. And as I was talking to Mark, somebody came up to me and was like, hey, this was my favorite thing that happened at this Magic Con. Thanks so much. And I was like, and he's right here. Like, Mark's right here. I was like, really cool to have someone say that, like, right in front of him. So, and I only had to pay him $27, that was super cool. And like I said, Remy was there. My friend Mike Banny was there. Strifo was there for a little while. I think he might have had to dip out or he came in late. But it doesn't matter. Like, just anybody who showed up, that was super cool. It felt awesome to have everybody there, like kind of rooting me on, I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, and also that's a tribute to everybody who has supported us on Patreon, because the only reason that we even got the in for that panel was because as part of getting that additional support, we wanted to like find a way to get more legacy action at these cons, which is represented in the Legacy Cup that Brian Koval won, and the Legacy event for art. Which also was, I heard, like a successful event because, of course, like when you have the stakes of playing for original Magic art, that's always exciting. Yeah. And so, like, because of the contacts that we made trying to make that happen, we were invited.
So much stuff went down for Legacy players that may not be 100% us, but we've helped facilitate, which is it's a very cool feeling, and being able to do something that was like positive to the community, it felt good.
Yeah, and that in with them was the offer to do the panel because we had pitched that panel idea to them. And they liked it, and they said, do you want to do it? And then Zach was like, I can handle it. I wasn't able to make it to Chicago, but it's indicative of like what we'll be able to do at future cons, which is very exciting. Yeah. And so like hopefully they'll see the success of what the Legacy ones were and continue to follow that and maybe expand the ideas that we are looking to do that are a little bit more of an endeavor to put on, but would be really exciting if they could make it happen. And so that's also, shout out to everybody who supports the pod because you indirectly made that panel happen. Yeah. Then Zach did pretty much all of the legwork on the PowerPoint and everything. And, actually delivering it home, he even shook Morrow's elbow,
Yeah, so. I shook Morrow's elbow even. Eternal Durdles, the Durdle Maniacs, and Legacy as a whole. We're all on the come up right now.
It's all on an upward trajectory, and I'm sure if you watch Brian's channel, or if you listen to the Tone of Glory podcast, when they talk about it, he'll talk about his experience winning the first Legacy Cup that will presumably
well-deserved
be a
too. Like who better to choose, right? Like
and hopefully that will be a continuation. Like that, the consistency of the Legacy Cup at MagicCons going forward will continue. So that'll be an event that we can put some prestige on its name, and then it can become a bigger event for us Eternal guys, and that'll be great. So
yeah. So then after that, I had to sit down with Rich from Hipsters of the Coast. We talked about some of the stuff that's been happening over the years with Hipsters of the Coast. So, more news on that later, but that seems like it's starting to move toward a good place, which is wonderful. And then I went back to the convention center and got everybody. So this is a great time to shout out to our Discord. If you're not in our Discord, links below. But I organized a dinner for the people who were at the convention for Discord, and we went to the Tap Inn, and we had like an Italian style, like Chicago dinner, steak and pasta and that kind of stuff, and that was super good. And then I wasn't ready to stop. I wasn't ready to stop the party, so I was gonna go have a nightcap. I went and changed, got out of the Pac-Man suit. Changed. I was just going to go into my civilian clothes, sit down at the bar, have one. And I ran into Tron is Bad of Better Days MTG, Ryan. And I said, you know what? One more Commander game. So I played my second Commander game of the weekend to its completion. I was playing Garth Gates. And the turn before I won with Maze's End, Ryan won with Torwalkie, doing like damage to everybody on the board, and like the red temp that gets goblins. And my turn one play was Forest Burgeoning, and then I had out 5 land by my second turn, but no one was letting me slide with that. They kept killing my Garth immediately as I put it out, because I needed to refill my hand with a Brain Geyser to even like do anything. But that was a fun game. It was cool to catch up with him, because I know he was like super busy during the convention doing the MTG ambassador stuff. Hustling. So, that was rad. And then, so now we're on to Sunday. And so Sunday started off with a bacon, egg, and cheese. I sat down. Pip, aka Pat, Pip Goblin Battlecaster, happened to find me. We sat down and hung out for a little bit. And then Brandon popped over and said hi. Brandon watches the show, and that was like, and he was like, I don't want to bother you. I'm like, no, absolutely not. Please bother me. If you see me in the Pac-Man suit, bother me. Say hi. Let me know that you've seen the show. That I live off that stuff for months. Like, that stuff to me is, I love that. Please don't ever hesitate to say hi to me. And I'm going to speak for Phil here to say hi to Phil either. Give us a what it do.
If you ever approach me, I'm always down. Just like wait until I blind flip and counter somebody's spell with counterbalance. Like that way they feel bad for momentarily, so I can say hello to you.
Yeah, you're like, and I'll flip over. Oh, it's a ponder. It counters your ponder, and then that's when you run over, flying high five, and yell what it do.
Yeah, I did. Speaking of, I had one of the reasons why I can never put the card down. Just a little interim segment here. There was one match where I was playing against Painter in paper, and my opponent put just hard cast Chaos Defiler, and I blind flipped a Lorien reveal. And I want you to know that when you blind flip hitting something like that, the dopamine hit is so strong that you can never go back. You can never play anything else after something like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a lifer. That's why I do this for life.
All right. So Brandon, I ran into Zach Barish, old coworker / guy who works for Wizards doing the cube stuff, which is pretty rad. So I ran into Zach and Derek Gallen, old Hipsters of the Coast alumni there. And then I spent, Remy had already headed off, went home. And I spent most of the day with Sal, just MTG Sal, Chicago, and we just sat around and BS the whole time. There was a point in time where we were in a pretty public area, and people just kept coming up to me to have them sign their passport books, which was really cool. I guess they recognized the Pac-Man. I just had the jacket on. I don't wear my whole suit 2 days in a row because I feel like I'm gonna get it sweaty, dry cleaning costs a lot. But yeah, people were coming up. There was like some kids that came up and were like, yeah, can I get you assignment things? So that was like really cool. I love that stuff, man. Like getting to like play the role of like the guy that belongs in the space, you know, it's like kind of fun. And yeah, that was MagicCon. After that, Sal was like, hey, when are you going to leave? I was like, probably at noon. And he's like, I can drive you to the airport. So save me $50 there. Which was awesome. And we just BS'd on the way back. It was a really fun time. It's awesome meeting people for the first time that you hang out with a lot online. Like Sal's the reason why we do MTG shorts, YouTube shorts. He told me about, he's like, that could help you. And so that Sal's a big reason why our YouTube channel got to the monetization point. So big shout out there. Meeting Chase for the first time in like IRL, meeting his wife was really cool. Mike and his wife were there. Hang out with Joe Dyer for like the entire night one time. It was pretty fun. Got a shout out to Alex and Wynn, the other guys that were with us at the dinner. It was a really fun time, and it was really good to, it's the gathering, dude. You know, like that. I know I always say this, but the best part of the game is the gathering, you know?
Yeah, and I honestly, like, every time you were sending over pictures and whatnot, I was like, man, I'm so, like, particularly of the actual panel, like, I was like, oh man, I'm having some serious FOMO, because like I'm like, I want steak and Magic history.
Yeah, steak and Magic history. That should be the next 30 years of Magic content, 30 years of steak.
Yeah.
You go from A1 to like just cook it with butter, you know. To Leon Perrins.
It's just historical figures throughout Magic. They're also at the panel, and they just tell us their favorite dinner that they've ever had at a Magic event. Yeah.
At the very end, Mike Long shows up and says, like, I like skirt steak, well done. And you're like, boo!
Boo! Yeah. And then everybody gets to throw trash at it.
Yeah. One of the things that Sal and I actually talked about was the concept that, like, Magic doesn't have like a good like pro storyline situation. I know I was saying Phil and I talk about this all the time. The whole idea of like the wrestling like style of like celebrity and creating that, and we talked about like how do you even do that in this era when like you can't just put some guy up and be like, hey, be a jerk to everybody because it's like not good for the game. Like it's not good marketing, right? But it's funny when you think about it, like how like that works for wrestling, right? Because like teenage boys are the demographic for wrestling, right? Like the initial demographic, at least the onboarding, right? And like smack talking is like totally fine to do, but like when Magic did that back at the very beginning, there was this guy Sean the Hammer Regner, who was like this Boston guy who would just be like, he'd just like talk his entire way through a match and kind of get people off the game by talking and like chatting it up, but like also not shit talking per se, but like, just getting in your head a little bit. And that's just not okay anymore. You can't do that.
That's not okay. Yeah, I think that like the way to actually successfully do it is partially it's on the coverage team to make somebody not necessarily like a bad person or a bad guy, but like to build them up as like this unstoppable force that like doesn't care what they have to do to win, right? So it's like the means by which they get there. It's like, oh no, they play it serious. They're not here to have fun.
Yeah,
like we're here to have fun, but they're not, right? Like you build them up that way. But like then like if we ever win an event, the way that you do it is you don't have to put anybody else down. If anything, you build everybody else up and then put yourself over them. So if we get into the top 8 situation and, somebody is interviewing us and it's like, hey, Phil, how do you expect to get through this top 8? And you'd be like, what do you mean? The 7 other players in this top 8 are the best people at this event. And they're not even close to how good I am.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Now everybody looks good. Everybody looks good, but you're still the heel, right? Everybody knows to boo you.
Oh man, that's like chef's kiss. Can you tell this guy used to do this for a living? I mean, come on.
You've built everybody up. The traction, the simplest way that like if you ever are trying to do that for your own like smaller tournament series or whatever, you're trying to build like a promo or whatever, you never actually punch down. If anything, you build everybody up. That way you can step over them. Yeah, so because like because like if you and I are playing in the finals of a side event, right? Because where else would we meet? But if you and I are playing in the finals of a side event, I'm not going to be like Zach is trash and I'm going to crush him, because then everybody else is going to go, well, okay, so we don't. Then
they start rooting for me.
Well, they're going to root for you, but like people will be like, we don't care if you can beat somebody who sucks. Like, why would we want to watch that?
Exactly.
But if you go, Zach is literally unbeatable. Nobody can touch that guy except me.
Yeah.
Now you're like, oh,
I'm your only hope.
yeah. So it's like, but you can build somebody up both ways. But like, nobody wants to see somebody beat somebody who's bad.
Yeah.
They want to see somebody beat the best. And then if you just are like, yeah, I'm the best, and you know, whatever. Like, that's the way to do it. So you never actually punch down to be a heel. You actually have to build up to be a heel.
Yeah.
Ironically, it's not intuitive, but
well, I mean that was my I wouldn't say GP, my Magic Con Chicago. At the end, I made sure to stop by and say goodbye to everybody that helped me out with stuff. I said, I said my goodbyes to Saffron Olive. I'm sure Mark was around, but he's a busy dude, so I couldn't find him again. Diana, who again, like, I mean, I've tweeted this already, but like, Diana helped us out so much. It was just really great of her to she helped us make those connections that we were talking about for legacy players earlier. And that was huge. And then just being an absolute, like, just awesome person, just, giving us these opportunities is huge, but also just organizing all this stuff for all of the content creators. She just does tireless work for all these people. And, I know it doesn't go unnoticed, but I think it's worth mentioning again how important the work she does is.
100%, yeah, and like consistently too across every single con that we've been to. Like, it's been strictly excellent every time. So,
yeah. So what's next on the docket, Phil? We've got a Magic Con, SCG Con, Philadelphia. The Sunday event is Legacy, so we'll both be there.
Legacy 5K, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'll happily terminus your board. So
I will happily wait until you terminus my board and then play a creature, and then I will protect it with Legolas's Quick Reflexes.
And I will happily blind flip countering your Legolas's Quick Reflexes with my counter.
No! Yeah, I guess that is the way you can counter it.
The only way, yeah.
But with that said, I think that does it for us this week. Again, we're gonna have this will probably come out before the panel comes out, because I'll be working on that in my spare time. And Pat should have this up by Thursday. But look below. Maybe I'll have that up already. It just depends on how much work I can get done on the panel by that time. So, like I said, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for your support. If you want to support us and you have the means, patreon.com/Eternal Durdles. It really helps. And I know a lot of people have been talking about the new ad situation on Spotify. I also hate it. But we do need that ad money right now to keep paying for our editors and whatnot. It was something that I just didn't see coming. So, once the Patreon gets over what we make in ads, I will kill those ads immediately. I want to make sure that no one's being annoyed by those ads, but at the same time, we do need the the revenue that they bring in to continue to produce the content at the frequency we're producing it at. So, with that said, thank you everyone, and have a wonderful week. We'll see you on Thursday, apparently.
Cheers.
Actually, we'll see you on Monday. We're recording on Thursday. Deuces.
Oh, and also, when should everybody expect the panel to be released?
That should be this week. So this should come out on Thursday. Sorry. This will come out on Thursday. The panel will come out between now and Friday. Sorry. You're watching this on Thursday. Man, time is weird. I'm going to try and edit it Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday, it might drop, but I don't want to drop it the same day as the episode. So I'm going to try and drop it Wednesday. So it should already be out. Look below.
There you go. Link below.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for watching. For the gift that keeps on giving all year round, join our Patreon at patreon.com/Eternal Durdles. And hey, check out this playlist we got up here with all of our interviews over the last couple of years. Some great people from the Legacy community, some really great guests.